Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and in this video, I'm going to talk about Knockdhu Distillery and anCnoc whiskies. Knockdhu Distillery is located in Knock, Banffshire in the Northern Highlands of Scotland. Knockdhu Distillery history. In 1893, Knockdhu Distillery was founded in Banffshire by John Morrison. In 1894, Knockdhu Distillery started production. In 1931, the distillery was forced to close due to the economic depression. From 1940 to 1945, wartime restrictions on barley forced a second closure. In 1983, Knockdhu Distillery was closed due to the whiskey lock. In 1988, Knockdhu was sold to Inverhouse. In 1989, Knockdhu production resumed in February. In 1990, their first official Knockdhu was released. In 1993, anCnoc was released. In 1994, the whiskey, which was named Knockdhu after the distillery, was renamed to anCnoc to avoid confusion with another distillery, Knockdhu. The name anCnoc is Gaelic and it means the hill. In 2001, Pacific Spirits bought Inverhouse for $85 million. Knockdhu Distillery production. They have a 5.1 ton stainless steel mash tun. They have 8 Oregon pine washbacks with 65-hour fermentation. They have 1 pair of stills with a warm tub condenser. And they have 3 dunnage warehouses and 1 racked warehouse. The Knockdhu Distillery core range. anCnoc 12-year-old Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, matured in second fill American oak ex-bourbon cask and ex-sherry cask. It's bottled at 40% alcohol by volume in the UK and 43% alcohol by volume in the USA. The anCnoc 18-year-old Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, matured in Spanish oak ex-sherry cask and American oak ex-bourbon barrels. It is non-chill filtered, has natural color, and is bottled at 46% alcohol by volume. The anCnoc 24-year-old Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, matured in American oak ex-bourbon cask and sherry seasoned cask. It is non-chill filtered, has natural color, and is bottled at 46% alcohol by volume. The anCnoc Peat Heart Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, matured in American oak ex-bourbon cask. It's peated at 34 ppm with a final of 13.3 ppm. It is bottled at 46% alcohol by volume. Scotch Malt Whiskey Society cask number 115.24 Lucious Crumble. This is an anCnoc 11-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey from Knockdhu Distillery. It was matured in second fill bourbon barrel, aged 11 years. It was distilled in 2009. It has an alcohol level of 58.4% alcohol by volume. In the USA, it was allocated 72 bottles and it sold for $135. So this one's at cask strength. It does have a wee bit of a bite, so I'm just going to put in a teaspoon, help the various components come together, as well as take the edge off of the bite. So I've reviewed a couple anCnoc whiskeys before. This is the Peat Heart. This was the batch 1, current release I believe is batch 3. Absolutely superb whiskey. Challenging to get it in the United States. I had it shipped over from the UK, and I bought it because I was doing a whole series on peated Highland single malt Scotch whiskies and doing comparison with Islay single malt Scotch whiskies, peated Islay single malt Scotch whiskies. This is the Bloss. This was a special release. Absolutely superb. It's over 50% alcohol by volume. I'll put a link to both my reviews on this down in the description box. The 12 and 18-year-old anCnoc can be a bit challenging to come by in my neighborhood. I can get the 12-year-old for about 60 bucks. One shop here in the Bay Area has the UK release at 40%. Another one has the 43% alcohol by volume. And again, about 60 bucks. I don't know why one shop is getting the 40 ABV, the other one's getting 43. I don't know. And that sounds a little strange that you could have different ABV for the same bottling, but there are a few distilleries, such as Laphroaig, that the American releases are a little bit higher in the ABV. Sorry to the rest of the world. I guess we're special. We get something a little bit extra. Now, if you're interested in a review of the 12 and 18-year-old, there is a handsome gentleman over in Ireland, Jim, the whiskey novice, who has reviewed the 12 and 18-year-old. Really good reviews. I'm going to put links to his reviews in the description box down below. So, intense apricot jam. There's that maltiness, lemon, vanilla, some nice floral notes. Don't ask me what kind of flowers. I'm not a flower guy. I just pick it up as being floral. On the palate. Nice creamy texture, mouth coating, nice and round. Still a bit sharp, even with the water. It actually has a slight salty character. Apricot jam, peaches, pineapple, maybe a little bit of pear, and honey crisp apples. Have you ever had a honey crisp apple? To get a little bit of honey crisp apple. Nice development. Not a huge transition from front and the middle into the finish, but it finishes on the spicy side in terms of barrel spice, cinnamon, nutmeg, maybe a hint of clove, and a nice long finish. I'm tasting it now. Now, of course, the only way you're going to get a bottle like this is if you're a member of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. This video is not promoted by them. I'm just talking about one of these whiskeys. So you're going to want to look for distillery number 115. This is bottle number 24 of 115. Limited release. But if you want something similar to this, and if you're a member of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, just look for bottle number or cask number, distillery number 115. Lucious Crumble, name of this bottle, I think really fits because it is luscious. And if you ever do like an apple crumble or some kind of apple dessert, it kind of gets those characters in there as well. Particularly, yeah, baked apple, cinnamon, spice, and those kind of notes. So the 12-year-old, as I said, around 60 bucks in my neighborhood. The 18-year-old is like $200. That's nuts. And with the changes going on in the economy, world economy, and there seems to be a bit more whiskey on the shelves than is what is being sold, particularly in the bourbon world. You know, these distilleries need to rethink how they're marketing and selling their whiskey. I did a whole series on the history of Scotch whiskey. It has its booms, it has its busts. It has its booms and busts based on the decisions made within the whiskey industry. It has its booms and busts based on decisions made outside of the whiskey industry. And then there are, by people, and then there's those things that happen that they have no control over. It could be the weather, it could be a fake pandemic that was put on by our government. You know what I'm talking about. Could be prohibition, could be war, so on and so forth. So there's these things that within the whiskey industry that affect history and prices and availability. Then those things outside of that done by humans, such as war, prohibition, taxes and more taxes and more taxes and more taxes and more taxes. Some of the biggest impact on whiskey history and prices is those ridiculous prices. Scotch whiskey is taxed over 70%. 70%. So if you want to complain about the prices, talk about what the government is doing to the consumer. So this is a superb whiskey. If you could get it, it was available. It's going to give it a score. I'll go solid 90 points. A solid 90 points. Absolutely superb. And if you're looking for a bang for your buck, and you're willing to pay the initiation fee, Scotch Malt Whisky Society is not a bad way to go, because in the long run, you're really getting a value for what you are buying. Alrighty, if you have not already subscribed, ask you to subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I post a new video. And until next time, Slàinte. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and check out these other whiskey videos.